Shalom Devarim Chazon Tovshin Pei. I want to welcome everybody to the yearly shiur given at OTL. And each year we think that OTL the next year will be in Yerushalayim already. We have some real estate scouted out, and we're hoping one day to open up the cafe in Yerushalayim. But you know, for the first time in my lifetime, I cannot remember another time or any other time that if a Yid wants to get to Yerushalayim, you can't go. And you know, as many times as we go through the Bein HaMitzarim, the 9 days, Tisha B'Av, so we always think in the back of my mind, what was it already? We could go to Yerushalayim anytime, you hop on a plane, you go to the Kosel, you go to any part of Yerushalayim, go to Hebron, whatever you want to do, you could get close. But this year we feel it a little more, because even if you want to, now you know what it means, that you're a Yid, and you're a religious Jew, and you keep all the mitzvahs of the Torah, but you want to go to Eretz Yisrael, you want to go to Yerushalayim. Hashem has told us, I'm sorry, you can't come right now. And it makes us understand and want and understand the gravity of what it means to be in Golus, to be away, to not to be able to be in Eretz Yisrael. And in addition to this Shabbos being Parshas Devarim, it is also what we know is called Shabbos Chazon. And Shabbos Chazon comes from the Haftarah of this parsha, and it describes to us what is a Chazon. Chazon is a vision. The vision of Yeshaya Hanavi leading up to the Churban Beis HaMikdash. And although the destruction of Yerushalayim and us hoping for Yerushalayim to be rebuilt is something that should always be in our mind the entire year, but during this period of time, known as the Bein HaMitzarim, it steps a little bit more to the forefront. And we focus on it, hopefully we focus on it just a little more. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us that an inseparable part of Geula and Bias HaMashiach, which we hope to merit to see in very short order, an inseparable part of that is the inyan of Chevlei Moshiach. Everybody has heard the word. What is Chevlei Moshiach? Chevlei Moshiach are the tzoros and the gzeros that befall Klal Yisrael before the coming of Mashiach. And the Gemara, Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph, tells us that if one sees a generation where there are a lot of tzoros, you see a generation where so many things are happening in the world, so many tzoros befall Klal Yisrael. So the Gemara tells us, if you see a generation with so many tzoros, so many unbelievable things happening to Klal Yisrael, the Gemara says, Chakeloi. Just know, wait for Mashiach, just know that Mashiach is right there. When you see a generation suffering, Chakeloi, wait and know that Mashiach is around the corner. And the Zohar, too, tells us that the generation of Mashiach will be a generation where we will see one trouble, one tzara after the other. And let us try to understand what is meant by all of this. What does it mean that Chevlei Moshiach come right before the Geula? So we know the Torah tells us by the bris Bein HaBesarim that Hashem tells Avraham Avinu that there was going to have to be a Golus Mitzrayim. Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, just know that they're going to go down to the Mitzrayim and they're going to work very hard and there's going to be a Golus Mitzrayim. And the question is, what was the purpose? What was the purpose of Golus Mitzrayim? Think about it for a second. 70 tzaddikim went to Mitzrayim. These were tzaddikim and tahirim. From the biggest people that the world has ever seen. 70 people went to Mitzrayim, and when they came out of Mitzrayim, there was an entire population that was in the Memtes Shari Tumah. So if you ask me, I would tell you that this did not work out too well. How Golus should be that we going to Mitzrayim as Kedoshim and Tahirim, and we leave in the Memtes Shari Tumah. What exactly did the Golus do for us? And this Golus we know was certainly not for Averos. The Gemara tells us, Chazal tell us that other Goluyos were because of Averos that were done. This Golus we know when they came to Mitzrayim to see Yosef, the Shvatim, the Kedoshim that came down, it definitely was not because of Averos. So Nesivos Shalom tells us it is clear that the purpose of Golus is not necessarily to punish for Averos. One of the main purposes of Golus is to cleanse Klal Yisrael. To make them, in order to become the Am HaNivchar, we have to go up to an even higher level. We have to cleanse ourselves. We have to be ready to be in the house of Hashem. We have to be ready to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Hashem told Avram Avinu that in order for that to happen, in order for that Madrega to be reached, they're going to need a Shibud Mitzrayim to cleanse them and to prepare them for the great things that were ahead of them, for the great things that were still ahead for Klal Yisrael. And it is really the same idea now, says the Nesivos Shalom, as we await Mashiach and the absolute tikkun of the world, when everything will be at its ultimate, when everything will be good once again. In order for us to reach that point, we need to go through a cleansing process. We need to go through a Golus, and the pains and the tzaros that come along with Golus. We need to go through that to cleanse ourselves. And if you know and you see a generation where we are being cleansed, then chakeloi. Know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending us a message. He is sending us these cleaning agents. He is sending us the way, the path that we are going to get out of Golus. These are the pains before the rebirth of Klal Yisrael. And you know, the Nesivos Shalom spoke a lot about this. You look through some of the Svarim, Nesivos Shalom, that he wrote about the Holocaust. Nesivos Shalom spoke extensively about the Holocaust. And this is one of the themes that the Nesivos Shalom says, that when it came to the Holocaust, with the world in its entire history, the entire history of the world, no one had ever seen such brutality, such horror. This was something which was never before seen to mankind. There was no logical derech hateva answer to why and how such a thing happened. There is no doubt, says in the Nesivos Shalom, that it was the Chevlei Mashiach. It was there for one reason, Chevlei Mashiach, to cleanse us, and we don't understand, this is going on very high and very different levels, what exactly cleansing means. But this undoubtedly, says in the Nesivos Shalom, was Chevlei Mashiach. And right now, we're still waiting, and we know that any minute, at any time, look, we just went through a period now of whatever we call it, the coronavirus period, where so many people were lost, so many businesses were lost, so many levels and so many areas of our lives were turned upside down. We were put in a situation that nobody knew how to handle, and even those who felt and still feel that they know how to handle it, by next week they realize they have no idea how to handle it. That we are totally in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned everyone's life upside down. The answer, Chevlei Mashiach. We're going through a time, it says in Nesivos Shalom, well, he didn't say it about this, but since the Holocaust, we're going through a time of one tzara after the other, and the Yetzer Hara will do everything to squelch our tzipisa Yeshua. Did we wait for the Yeshua? Will give us a million excuses of how somebody in China, he ate this and he sent that and he did this and he did that. All the excuses in the world to make it look like Derech HaTeva. But we, as believing Jews, know that everything at all times is orchestrated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what the Yetzer Hara wants is that we should lose focus of that. And we should not have kavana by V'Yerushalayim Yircha B'Rachamim Tashuv. We're in a period of the year now where it's kedai in the 3 times a day when we say Shemon Esrei, at least those words. V'Yerushalayim Yircha B'Rachamim Tashuv. Hashem, please take us back. V'Sechazena Einenu, that we should, our eyes should be able to see. We should be fortunate enough to see in our days B'Shuvcha L'Tzion B'Rachamim, that we could go to Eretz Yisrael, and we all know, and we all understand that better. As we said at the beginning of the shir, that we are closed out. Yidden from Chutz La'aretz cannot go to Eretz Yisrael. And unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides that we're going to get there, and that we could go back, we're stuck, we're closed out. And how much more so this year can we say and try to have kavana when we say those words? How many unusual more pains of Chevlei Mashiach have we paid? We paid the debt, we paid down on so many more Chevlei Mashiach this year. And everyone needs to realize that, we talk about when the shir comes back to here and how many times we've done it, and it seems like when we do the shir once a year here at OTL, and we do it because Baruch Hashem, people have good things to eat that are not meat, and we keep on saying that it feels like just yesterday we were here. Another year. But you know what another year means? Another year means it's another year in Galus. It's another year that we did not get. Who would have dreamed last year at this time when we speak about Mashiach, when we speak about the Chevlei Mashiach, who would have dreamed what kind of Chevlei Mashiach and what kind of situation we'd be in that we're actually closed? Hashem said, maybe you don't understand what it means that a Yid is in Golus from Yerushalayim. Maybe we don't take it enough to heart. Maybe we don't understand what it means that the place of a Yid is in Eretz Yisrael. And Hashem, we have to take it personally. Hashem told us, I'm sorry, whoever's there is there, but no more people right now. It's a tough situation. And this year, we have another week to Tisha B'Av. We still have time for the Chevlei Mashiach, the birth pains to be over, and for Mashiach to come. But the only way it's going to happen is if we internalize these lessons. And if we understand that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed close to 2,000 years ago. And every year that it's not there, and every year that we're not back, we need to understand that we still haven't rectified the reason that we were asked to leave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked us to leave. Chazal tell us, Sinas Chinam. I'm not even going to tell people to go ahead and have Avas Chinam, because that would be the ultimate, to go have Avas Chinam, to love somebody, even if it's tough to love them. But what we are going to say is at least Sinas Chinam, at least to not feel in a way, a negative way about other people for no reason. Yes, for a reason. There's never a reason to dislike. There's never a reason to have sinah for another year. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, until we learn that lesson, where everything is still the same as it was almost 2,000 years ago. So let's hope that we remember this year, and that we internalize these lessons, and that we feel and we take heart when we're going to daven on Tisha B'Av if Mashiach doesn't come, and we're going to speak in the Kinnos, and we're going to lay in Eicha, and we're going to talk about the Churban. I have a feeling that this year it's a little bit more relevant to everybody. Everybody understands. We should all be Zoicha that this should be the last year in Golus. We should be Zoicha to return to Eretz Yisrael, but this time not to visit. We should be Zoicha with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu, B'mheira v'yameinu.